Hi everyone, this is Blake Anderson, and I am a registered social worker and therapist, as well as a life coach here in Toronto, Ontario. And in this video, I'm going to be covering my top 25 productivity books, starting with the first book, The One Thing by Gary Keller and Papasan. And so in this video, I'm going to walk quickly through this book and recommend why it's an important book. I'll be going through my top 25 list in 2025 and highlight some of my favorite all-time books, focused primarily on productivity, but also on personal development and personal growth. To start off, the book, The One Thing, is about focusing on your most important task, your one thing. So each day that you focus on this one task or this one thing, you can lead your life to extraordinary results. His main point in the book is that when you prioritize what matters in your life, it cuts through the noise and provides signal to your life. So he has you also understand the notion of what is the highest priority task or activity that will have the greatest impact on a given area of your life. So I'll get into that. That's kind of the overall focus or the high level understanding of the book. So he talks about, whether it's your career or your health, relationships, or personal goals, that once you figure out what the one thing is, it allows you to, really focus in and make a greater impact in your life. And so he does use the notion of Steve Jobs in terms of his laser focus on refining the Apple series and the Apple line in terms of the products. And he talks about how Steve Jobs had the distinction of saying no. And so as he talks about in the book, how he over time, used to say yes a lot. And one of those is saying yes too often. But he talks about how in Steve Jobs' terms, you have to say no in order to get to a strong yes. And then it's figuring out what your strong yes or your why is kind of the focus of the book. Some of the key takeaways from the book is figuring out what your purpose is and as it shapes your priorities. But he talks about how your priority is originally meant the very first thing, not a list of the top 3 or top 5. Does also talk about goal setting to the now. In typical fashion, I guess there's a 5-year goal, right, that often people are aware of or have asked themselves, I'm sure. But he gets you to, refine, and he talks about the focus question. But first, in terms of, it's kind of reverse engineering. So it's, what's your 5-year goal? Like, where are you heading? Where do you want to get to in life? What is that one, thing that really lights you up and is your purpose? And then it's working back, every year to every 3 months, like every quarter, and then to every month, and then to every day. This book is really, I think, great in the sense that it really refines some of the key aspects, I think, of productivity and of overall purpose and meaning and just strategy in one's life. So he talks about what's the one thing that I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary. So he talks about refining, it's about really the importance of asking the right questions in your life. And this is something that I've come across in other books as well, the importance of asking, the questions and asking better questions. And he does mention the notion of the Socratic method, as well as quoting Voltaire in his famous quote, "Judge a man by his questions rather than his answers." I know from therapy, right, my approach is really to, often when I'm working with a client, it's that listening and then really trying to pay attention to, what is the question that the client is asking themselves, or what are some of the questions that I can use to help elicit perhaps this one thing or this why that one is leading their life. And just to kind of talk about that, I guess, in terms of working with clients on a regular basis, often, they can be busy by their life and they can be perhaps overwhelmed. It can be an issue of time, energy, or motivation. This book, though, is a good reminder of how focusing on the one thing. And so he has you to focus on, he has others more kind of strategies in terms of time blocking and other kind of more prescriptive ways about going about, doing the one thing. Overall, he talks about committing at least, he says, around 4 hours at the very least a day to this one activity. He also gets you to think about, and this is something I work with clients as well on, is the different, areas of one's life. So it could be, their personal life, their relationships, their work life, their finances, their, health and their well-being. It can be their spiritual and religious devotion. All these different areas, you figure out what are the highest impact activities in each one of these areas, and you pick the one thing, then you're going to get more results. And so the book goes into why focusing on the one thing can help organize or be be kind of like a habit that is like a keystone habit, right? That affects other areas of your life. So I've noticed this in my own life and with other working with clients, right? If perhaps they change one main area of their life, it could be going to the gym, or perhaps they get a promotion, or they're doing something different in their life and they're feeling proud about it, then it tends to organize or harmonize perhaps other areas of their life as they become inspired or are motivated or directed more in their life. So that's just a good reminder in this book about first asking the questions and refining the focus questions. And then once one has their purpose and their priority, then really working and devoting one's life and having, he talks about mastery and discipline and accountability from others as well. I can, speak from experience that this definitely is something that I've come across in terms of helping me in my productivity and my time management and allowing me to prioritize my day. Another aspect, he talks about the success habit. He talks about what is the one thing that you can do every day, and he talks about the unbroken chain as well, like, as Jerry Seinfeld says, don't break the chain, so do it each day, like writing a joke. And he talks about also writing habits of people like Stephen King, committing to a certain routine every day, again mentioning time blocking. This book overall, I would really say that it's a really good book. I would recommend it. I bring it up in my talks and my conversations with clients, and it helps if one's overwhelmed or they're not really knowing the priorities of their life. I think it's a good book that helps you refine and ask those deeper questions, right? And then committing yourself to that one thing. And the notion, right, is if you don't design or feel some joy or some kind of what gets you up in the morning sort of vibe or feeling in your day, then you're more likely to get distracted and overall probably not be as happy. So by figuring out what your one thing is, and it could be like for me, it's a creative pursuit as well, right? Having that one thing where I'm doing video or videography or photography, right? At least doing that a few hours a day really helps, I think, overall my emotional and perhaps even spiritual well-being. If you did like this book, please like and subscribe. This book, The One Thing, Producing Extraordinary Results in Different Areas of Your Life, is a great book. I'd highly recommend. In this series, I'll be covering 25 productivity books and personal growth books. And so stay tuned, subscribe, and if you do like this video, please like and share. Thanks and have a great day.